What up? It's your man, Mr. Dean, a.k.a. Cross, and you're listening to the Man Up Club presents on Holy Culture Radio. And I'm here with my man,
Rael. It's your boy, Jamario.
And we about to get it in. Y'all know what it is. Y'all know how we do it. We talk about real situations, real life circumstances, and what's going on. And we do it from the perspective of young black males, because the Man Up Club presents is an opportunity to give young black males a voice. You hear a lot of voices in America, but one voice that you very seldom often hear is the voice of the young black male, and we think that that is extremely important. Right now, I want to just kind of take some time to acknowledge the three African American troops who were murdered in the Jordan. That's a tough situation, and just kind of want to pay homage to them. There was 48-year-old Sergeant William Rivers, 24-year-old Sergeant Kennedy Sanders, and 23-year-old Sergeant Breonna Moffett. And you know, it's never pleasant to hear about people dying and things like that. And we're in some very trying times when it comes to the global world and the things that are going on in the world today. It's a lot going on. I know the Bible always talks about, that we're in the last days. And for me, I believe that more than anything. I used to hear that when I was a kid, and now I'm an adult and I have children and I have some life experience, and I'm just kind of looking at a lot of things that are going on as far as violence, murder, death, destruction, and just all sorts of things across the globe, all the way into, the neighborhood. And it can be extremely frightening. So I just want to give honor where honor is due to those troops and to their families. Prayers go out to their families. Today I want to talk a little bit about fear. So when I say that word fear, Jamario, I want you to tell me what's the first thing that comes to your mind.
The first thing I think of when I hear fear is being afraid of something, or even just not being comfortable with doing something. If that in a way, that could be fear.
And it's a beautiful day in Minnesota,
yes, sir,
unlike
yes,
a whole lot of other places around the country, because the weather is just simply and absolutely really crazy. I'm talking about like this movie called 2012, where everything was just going crazy, where in the South, where it's supposed to be hot, it's cold. Up here in the North, where it's cold, it's hot, which I love. I mean, I ain't throwing no shade right there. And then you got places like in California where it's raining, and I heard Tony say that it doesn't rain in Southern California, so somebody lying. Got to figure out who that is. And then, you just got crazy places that's freezing that ain't supposed to freeze. And like New Orleans, you know what I'm saying? Where it's
Florida.
Down in the dirty in Memphis, Tennessee. And you got like freezing snow and cold.
Freezing in Mississippi.
And I'm just confused. Now, when I was reading the word, I did read the Bible, and, it said that, we in the last days, and I'm kind of concerned about that, because when I was a kid, I used to hear that all the time. We in the last days. I got to the point where I was just tired of hearing it. And now that I'm older, and now I see what's going on, and now I see AI where, they can just talk for us, and, you know what I'm saying? Like all kind of craziness. It's like now I'm starting to really believe that we are in the last days, not to mention all the violence that's going on. Man. I'm talking like, man, people are killing people like it ain't nothing.
It's almost every day.
Like it is every day.
Yeah.
Not almost.
Yeah, I got watch crime on my phone. I see it all the time. It's a shooting here, shooting there, stabbing there, overdose there.
It's almost like, man, that if you ain't careful, you'll be walking around in this whole world like living in fear, like for real.
And that's the hard part. Like even in all the urban areas, bro, anytime you walk into school or you walk into your bus stop, you walking in fear, because it's like, oh man, this could be my last time. I could get hit by a bullet that wasn't even supposed to, you feel me?
And I'll take it even stretch further and say even beyond the urban areas, because when you think about it now, man, all these school shootings, those are not happening in the urban areas. And I'm talking about massive shootings, man. So it's kind of scary. It's kind of scary. And the question becomes, how do you move and how do you navigate, in these spaces?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? How do you navigate in this world where you got all of these negative things that are going on? And really the question becomes, to the audience out there, like, what are you guys doing out there to insulate and cover yourself and protect yourself from all of the negative outside influences that are trying to impact your life? Like, are you praying? Are you meditating? You taking that time for yourself? Are you reading the word? Like what are you doing? Because you have to do something. Like for me, I'm praying all the time. I'm up every morning at 4 a.m. I'm praying over myself. I'm praying over my family. I'm praying over the day. I'm working out every day in the gym. We ain't gonna get into that because last time we was in the gym, Jamario, I mean, we literally hurt you in the gym.
That's work. And I had worked out since college, and it been 2 years since I've been back. So that definitely put me back in that field. I like doing it, but I wasn't motivated to do it. But now I am. Now that I'm doing it again.
And I seen you switch up. I'm gonna come back to what we're talking about, but I got to touch on this because we got a new trainer at the Man Up Club. So at the Man Up Club, we got a workout facility, and we got a new gym. So we just kicked off our weightlifting program, and I brought in a trainer who's a female, and she's like in tip top shape, and she's my personal trainer. And so I had her come in to run the classes for the Man Up Club. And I tried to tell these fellas that she wasn't no joke. And so when she came in, she had them doing these exercises. Wow. Now, Jamario was in there struggling. She had Man Up members throwing up. They was literally in there struggling. But what I seen about Jamario was I seen you switch up, bro. I seen that football mentality come out of you, man. You was in there screaming and hollering and hype and just.
I had to, cause it made me realize, like, when I was struggling, I'm like, all right, that's because I ain't done it in a while. But then once I started to do it, I'm like, all right, I got to get in this mentality and not letting the workout beat me. So right. I'm like, all right, cool. We got to do this workout regardless. You feel me? So at the end of the day, I know I got to do this. So I'm like, okay, cool. So when my mentality switched, I was doing the ropes. I ain't did ropes since high school, cause we don't do ropes in college. Like some colleges don't do ropes, but we was doing ropes, and I was like, man, I got to get through this.
Yeah, she was hurting.
Yeah, and so I was like, yeah, I got to get through this.
Well,
and just let y'all know, listeners, I was not one of the ones that was throwing up. Let's confirm, I was not one of the ones throwing up.
No, it's all good. So now that I seen that side of you, I'm gonna need you to teach the Man Up Club sessions with that level of enthusiasm, because you was lit. You was lit.
You got to go in that bag sometimes.
Yeah, I'm telling you. So listen, I'm telling you guys, we got an awesome facility. It's brand new. We located in downtown Minneapolis. We open 6 days a week from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. where young men can just come in and be a part of the organization, get off the streets and hang out, play video games. We got a music program, culinary arts program, weightlifting program. We mentor one-on-one and group mentorship and all sorts of things. The guys got tutors, and we give out free suits. Like, we just do a lot for the young men just to keep them safe, what have you. And so we are super excited about, what we're doing at the Man Up Club and speaking into these young men's lives and trying to, be father figures to them in some sense, and just kind of, mentor them and guide them throughout life, because they got a lot that they're dealing with out there on these streets or what have you. As Jamario was saying, like a lot of killing and murdering that's going on and things like that, which brings on a level of fear. And that's one of the things that I actually see as unfortunately, a backdrop to even young men who are coming in the club. They come in with different type of attitudes, and some are feeling good and this, that, and the other. But I can almost still sense some level of uncertainty is what I would call it, or a little bit of fear to some degree. So when I say that word fear, tell me what pops in you guys' mind.
The first thing that pops into my mind is last night. I decided to go to the gym later than I usually do because I got home from work. And after I hit the gym, I'm like, bro, I've been good, been disciplining my money. I'm about to go treat myself to something to eat. So I walked to this Mexican restaurant that's like, I don't know, half a mile away from the gym. But for all the listeners at home, I recently moved closer to the hood than I've ever been in my life. So as I'm walking around, I realize people are staring at me. And I'm looking around, there's like 8 or 12 dudes standing on the corner at once. And I got to walk past this huge group of big black dudes to go and get to where I'm trying to go. And the first thing that comes to my mind is like, dang, bro, this is really like what I talk about when I say, oh, people are scared of black people for no reason. They didn't do nothing to them, blah, blah, blah. And I'm walking in the street at night, but thinking I'm about to get jumped, robbed, murdered. I don't even know. I'm like, bro, I got to put this somewhere else, because if all these other people are convinced that black people are just some big, scary dudes that do all this, I can't feed into that same thing. So I stood my chest out and I just walked past and I looked at the group and they looked at me to see if I was scary or not. But like nothing happened. And it was really interesting. Like I had this whole scenario in my mind. Like my body felt like I was about to have to fight off a mountain lion or something like that, when all I had to do was just walk 8 steps.
Why you think you had this initial thought? Because I noticed when you said I had to walk past these big black dudes, you didn't just say I had to walk past these big dudes. So like when you why do you think that level of fear just automatically rose up in you?
As interesting as it sounds, I think it's because of how much I've heard about racism in the past. Like I didn't think it was like not racism, but just like stereotypes of like people being violent, aggressive, like drug dealers, like all this stuff I've heard through the years about what it's like in the hood, quote unquote, per se. That's what I initially like attached to all those dudes. And I don't know who they were. They could have been a missionary group out talking to people walking late. I didn't know, but I just know I felt fear as I was going through that. And I think it's just because of the stereotypes that I've heard.
And it's funny you say that, because like I be in the hood all the time. I got some family members that be in the hood, but a lot of the times in the hood, those guys they ain't worried about, if they not looking for trouble, they not gonna bother you. You feel me? And that's what I hate when like people be walking across the street when they walking past our group or something, or even like it didn't happen at church before. You feel me? So it like we'll be just getting out of church. We all got our suits on, dress clothes, and white people still walk to the other side, or Hispanic, whatever it is. You feel me? They still just walk to the other side of the street. But the point I'm saying is, all black people is not aggressive, or all not even just black people. Just everyone that looks intimidating is not always intimidating. Like I'm a bigger hefty dude. And I know there's a lot of people that fear me just from
I fear
my
you
size.
because you look like a gorilla.
And that's the crazy part about that is I didn't have people. Yeah, I didn't have people be like, bro, I could not stand ground with you.
Hold on, I got a couple sidebars.
I didn't say that.
Speaking of which, like, okay, so I was at my boy's house. So my little brother, Troy Hudson, shout out to my boy T Hud, played for the Timberwolves for 12 years. That's my little brother. I'm his spiritual advisor. So I was at his crib chilling in the basement. He's got a sauna. And this is when I had my white beard. Yeah. I'm talking about, my white beard. When I wear my beard is snow white. It ain't dyed. It ain't even gray. It's just snow white.
It's just white.
You feel me? Just white. And so I'm in there with my shirt off and I'm sweating and I'm sitting in the sauna. And he got like this little 4-year-old daughter. And the sauna has a glass on it. And so we down there working out, but I'm sitting in the sauna. And then he calls his little daughter over there. He says, Vanna, come here. He's like, look at the silverback gorilla.
Like it's a zoo in his basement.
right. And then she like knocked on the window and then started pointing and be like, ooh.
Yeah, that and is sometimes it be, you can have fun moments like that because you know the situation. But like when somebody give you that look and you be like, man, you don't even look like I want to deal with you at all.
Well, hold on. Let me take it here, man. Because you talking about that look. Now I'm just give you my experience. I don't know what y'all want to call it, and maybe I could be going out on a limb. I don't know. Maybe you got to reel me back in, but I'm just gonna keep it 100. So when I'm around little black kids, and I'm talking about black kids, little black kids that I ain't even seen, whether they 3 or 4 years old or whatever, 2, 3, whatever, that age range. When they see me, they don't even trip, man. They don't pay me no attention. But when I walk around a little white kid that's probably like 3, 4, 2 or 3, 4 years old, man, they look at me like I'm like about to just like pull their head off like a doll or something, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'll be curious about that. Like I'll be feeling uncomfortable. Like, man, why is this little kid?
Thinking I'm gonna do something.
You don't really be knowing because they so little, but it's just like fear. Now, if you saw me in person, you'd be like, okay, Cross, look how big you are, bro. Everybody's scared of you. But no, but for real though, this is just one of those things that I notice, and I just think it's crazy because you just don't know what people are teaching their kids at home. I mean, people can give you the certain type of looks and this, that, and the other, and things can be unsaid, but you get messages that are unsaid messages that can give you fear.
It's like unspoken riz.
Absolutely. So we're going to get back into it, though. We're going to go deeper on this fear thing because I think a lot of people struggling with that. Hey, listen, I got a joke for y'all, but I got a question first. Mm-hmm. So a person that's drowning, how do they say, help me?
You stick your hands up or you keep bobbing up and down. You use all the strength in your body and your legs to go to the bottom, come back up, help, and go back down.
That's how they do it.
Swing, you could be, sometimes you weak, so you can't even do it. Somebody got to come find you.
So how would they say it, though? How would they say help me if they drowning?
You just throw them hands up, get to going crazy.
Yeah, but how would they say it? That's what they would do. I'm talking about how would they say it, though?
You can't say it if you
I don't know.
Do that again?
Sound like you gargling water. Yeah, it's like
water
you
in your
gargling
mouth.
water.
Or would they be like, help me?
Bruh. I can hear the bubbles right now. Help me.
Help
Hey, the picture that I'm getting is from it's from a movie called Lifeguard, bro. And there was a kid I was drowning, and that's what he did.
For real.
And he was like, help.
I just picture the bubbles escaping all over the pool. Bro.
That's one of my greatest fears, man. I got a couple of them, boy. I'm telling you right now, I'm trying to work through something serious. So I'm like literally trying to work through it. My wife, it's gonna sound crazy to some people out there, and then to others, they're gonna be like right with me. But my wife is trying to get me to go on this cruise in June.
Y'all got it.
And I'm just like,
What if they go down?
I done denied it for a year now.
Oh, so y'all been talking about this.
Oh yeah. Cause man, I don't know. I think the older I get, the more fearful I do get, which I'm really concerned about. I don't like that. But I got a serious fear about being on the water for days and days. Like, I ain't trying to experience no Titanic.
Gilligan's Island.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just like, oh my God. Like,
I'm not even gonna lie. I didn't have those moments of like my mom for her 40th birthday. She was talking about going on a cruise. Ma'am, who finna be on water that long? I can't swim. I can't.
Hey. And I done seen a couple videos where
that's why I don't do it.
But I'm trying not to let fear control me though. Cause fear, I got a few of them. And like for me, like when I was younger, man, I love to fly. Mm-hmm. Now I get concerned sometimes. Like, whoa, like what if?
That's just the times that we in though.
Oh.
I don't trust pilots.
Well, hold on. Okay. Here you go. So one time I flew to the Dominican Republic.
Uh-huh.
And I was asleep,
mm-hmm.
and I woke up like half sleep, and the pilot had came on, and he was like, put on your, what did he say? No, he had the fasten seatbelt light went off, and whatever, and then he was like, put on your jumpsuits.
Oh no, I'm making phone calls.
And I'm waking up out of that, hearing that. And I'm like,
a dream.
And I'm like, put on your jumpsuits. Like, what in the world? Like,
What's from the home?
yeah, man, I was concerned about that. And I can't remember exactly, so I had turned to the guy. I'm like, did he say put on your jumpsuits? The dude's like, yeah. I'm like,
For what?
jumpsuits.
Who finna jump? First of all,
Exactly.
that I ain't gonna lie, skydiving people. I had my friend had asked me we had went to homecoming and prom, and they like, why don't we go to skydiving for our graduation? Who? You not convincing me to go up in the air over 3,000 feet and come back down with a parachute? Nah, I'm good. I can't even. Nah, and my biggest fear is I don't want to die in the air.
Man, that's what I'm saying. So when he said put on your jumpsuits, and then I don't know, he had some type of accent. So whatever he said, it wasn't jumpsuits, but it sounded like that.
Mm-hmm.
But the flight attendants, they start strapping up, and I'm just like, oh my God, boy, I was so nervous.
That's
But
right.
those
What's one of your like one of those moments you had been like, all right, that's a little too close?
Honestly, I don't have those types of feelings a lot because I don't know, like whenever I get afraid of doing something, if it's like, I don't know, for instance, if I'm afraid of like talking to a girl, I just don't talk to her. Mm-hmm. But if it's like, I don't know, afraid of like an opportunity or meeting someone, I don't know. That's the only other time I get afraid, but I go head first into it. So,
but you ain't never experienced like just like fear, like terrifying fear, like to the point where you was afraid or scared.
Whenever I get scared, I think I get into fight or flight mode. I don't really feel afraid. It's just I go into a different mode. It's hard
So
to
you
explain.
just run.
No, like I turn into like an animal. Like I don't think right.
Oh no, my head got to be straight. I didn't have those moments. I didn't like not even just me. I didn't heard people have those moments where they didn't been like, hey, we finna go on a roller coaster. All right, cool, y'all got it. I didn't see too many roller coasters.
I was scared of them as a kid. That's true. Yeah,
bro. I'm 21 years old. I'm not getting on the roller coaster. The wild thing in Minnesota at the Valley Fair. I'm not going on that. You're not gonna catch me on the SpongeBob ride at the Mall of America. Nah, I'm not doing roller coasters.
So so Jamario, you didn't answer this question, so you can answer. When I say fear, what do you think of?
I think of being uncomfortable with something, or not really. I guess you could say fear is like uncertainty, like you said, kind of.
Yeah, because fear can stop. Fear can paralyze people, and it can stop them from doing certain things. You know what I'm saying? Like fear can really like hinder your success, or it can hinder your progress, or it can hinder your purpose. Like, and I had one of my homeboys, Pastor Andre Dukes, was teaching a class last night, and he was talking about how parents have this fear for their children. Sometimes that fear is so strong for that child, or the parent has so much fear for their children that they shelter them and don't even let them go out and just do certain things or live life, a certain way. And I know a lot of parents that do that, and I even, have done that to some degree, myself, just like, for example, even with my boys, I'd be concerned at night, for my boys, just being young black boys in America. And we know, it's sad to say that it's almost like a universal understanding, but we know kind of what that can mean for young black boys who are out late at night and what have you, and how much trouble they can get into, or just, even getting approached by police or what have you. And I have fears of my boys just getting approached by police officers, period, because I just don't know how that's going to go. And my first thought is not that they're there to protect and serve. I mean, that's just not my reality.
Can I pose a question to the group real quick?
Sure.
Do you think that if making a certain group more afraid of the police, would it convince them to be more obedient?
I don't know that it would. No, I don't think it could convince them to be more obedient, because I don't think you can do that out of fear. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like scared straight. You ever heard of scared straight?
Yeah.
So I mean, they use those tactics, but I don't necessarily believe necessarily in that tactic. I think it works for the short term, but I don't think it works for the long term. You know, so no. I mean, my answer to that question is no. I haven't seen where it's worked.
It
Right.
don't, and excuse me. It don't. I don't think it makes you more obedient because one, it makes you more afraid to even want to be in the same environment as the cops or whoever, law enforcement, right? And then on top of that is it's not that you not being obedient, you just ain't got trust in them no more. You feel me?
And that trust is huge.
And that's because, like, y'all preach all the time, like, yo, we supposed to protect and serve y'all. But in reality, y'all not really protecting, y'all taking us day by day, night by night. You feel me?
So when you say that, like, what do you mean by that? They're taking you. Like, what do you mean?
they taking lives. They
Taking lives,
yeah.
murdering.
All innocent?
Huh?
All innocent?
I'm not gonna say that because I don't know everybody's case. You feel me? But I've experienced where it's been innocent. You feel me? I've experienced multiple innocents, and half the Minnesota didn't experience non-innocent.
Right. So I want to. This is an interesting story
Or
that
not
happened to
guilty,
me on the
sorry.
train the other day. So I get on my way to work, and there's these guys that walk in. They were all smoking cigarettes you're not supposed to smoke, and they were standing like unnaturally close to me. Like I felt like it was somebody was about to be on something. So I'm already like on 10. Then all of a sudden, like at the back of the car, I hear one of them go, "Hey, no, bro, it's 12 in here. Y'all tripping?" And they all put their cigarettes out and walk away. And I'm thinking like because they saw the police in here, whatever type of stupidity they were on, it just completely like just lapsed. Like it was no more. So I was appreciative of the police in that scenario. But is that because they were afraid of the police?
No, I don't think. I don't think they were afraid of the police. I think that's just a healthy respect for the police, and which is what you should have. You should have a healthy respect for police. You know that, but being
Say
in
it
fear,
again,
being in
bro.
fear of the police is completely different.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's totally different. I was trying to think of a situation in which, you know, there was fear that just came over, you know, where fear just comes over people when they're dealing with police. But there's just so many, you know, different cases of that.
Yeah.
But understand that there is a fundamental difference in having respect for the police versus, you know, being in fear for the police to the point where, okay, here's a good scenario. So if you're driving down the street, there's a lot of black people who are riding down the street, and when the police get behind them and start following them, they immediately get nervous, and then they have a state of fear and a state of panic, which more likely is to cause them to panic and do something wrong. You know, when they're driving, and that would allow them to get pulled over because of just the fear factor of, man, the police is behind me. I wonder how this finna turn out. I know they finna pull me over. Like they have these thoughts, and because I have those thoughts.
Yeah.
But then there are other people who, you know, police get behind them, and you know, it ain't even no big deal. It ain't no different than a UPS truck being behind them necessarily. You know, and that I think that has a lot to do with, you know, things that have been perpetuated by police on black culture and how that has ended up, you know, whether that's Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, or, you know, multiplicity of people, your uncle,
Jamar
you know,
Clark.
Jamar Clark, you know, and others.
Orlando Castile.
Yeah, I mean, the list goes on, which in that one was super crazy. I actually wrote a dope song about it too.
Yeah.
It touched me. And I wrote that song out of so much anger, man, that I couldn't even put it out. As a matter of fact, remind me to play that for you today. But yeah, fear. I mean, there's a couple of things I want to get into in regards to fear because, like I said, fear can be paralyzing, and it can stop you from living your life. It can stop you from living your purpose. And God talks about this, you know, and how we're supposed to approach fear. You know, so we'll jump into it and you know, break it down, and I'd love to get you guys' perspective, you know, on a deeper level about fear. But hey, listen, if you want to get with us, hit us up at themanupclub.org. Shout us out. If you want to be a supporter of the Man Up Club, we would love to have you do that. You can go to our page and donate and connect with us there also, or follow us on IG at themanupclub.mn.
Yes, sir.
I got a little story I want to give real quick about me and me dealing with water, because something about me is I've always been afraid of swimming because I couldn't swim for a lot of years of my life, and kind of now I got it figured out. But more recently, this summer, I was at a cabin with some of my neighbors, right? And their cabin is on a lake, which means we take the boats out, we go have fun. Sometimes we jet ski, ride kayaks, everything like that. But this one particular situation, all the kids were just swimming in the pool and showing off their swimming skills. And everybody looked at me like, "Oh, Trey, come on, let's see what you can do." And I had to tell them that I really can't get down in the water like that. I don't really know what I'm doing. So our neighbor gave me a little bit of an impromptu swimming lesson, because they all teach each other how to swim. So now that I was there, like, learning how to swim from people who swam their whole lives, one thing she told me that stuck out was, like, don't be afraid of the water. Just trust that God built your body in a way to be able to kind of work with the water and keep you afloat. And when I heard that, like, I'm thinking to myself, nah, I sunk to the bottom every time I got in the pool before. And I'm thinking, like, later on that day, like, why do I believe so much that I'm going to sink? And it's just because of what I've been telling myself about the water, that I always tell myself, I can't do this. I can't swim. I'm not going to be able to float. I'm going to drown. Every time I try to get in the water as a kid, my parents, don't go in that water. You're going to get hurt. And when I have myself and all my family members telling me that I can't swim, whenever I'm around water, there's no doubt that I'm going to be afraid doing it. So instead of, like, being so afraid of things, I chose to just try to learn how to swim. Like, I started going to the gym, swimming in the pool, just jumping in the deep end and just trying things, because I got to conquer my fear in order to move past that.
That's interesting. It's very interesting, Jamario. So there's a scripture in the Word of God that says, well, first of all, there's a lot of people out there that's living with fear, and there's a lot of people that's allowing fear to actually control their life.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's really no way to live, but there are reasons why people live in fear, and to the point where it's just kind of taken over, and it kind of drives their decisions, it drives your thought process, or what have you. And that's something that I've personally struggled with.
Yeah.
Is allowing fear to be able to basically be the driver of my life in certain situations and certain occasions. And I've had to consciously check myself and be like, yo, you cannot allow fear to overtake you and have you move like that. And so as a result of me feeling like that sometimes, I have personally just pivoted on the spot and done the exact opposite of what fear has told me to do. There's a scripture. It's in 2 Timothy chapter 1.
Yep.
In verse 7, it says that God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and a sound mind.
Yeah.
What do you think about that scripture in regards to, what it says in the Word, of course, but then for people who really struggle with that?
I think for people that struggle with it, it's very important for you to understand that. So what it's pretty much saying is God gave you a spirit of fearlessness, and then it's also a scripture that say, I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. So I feel like that also ties in with, don't be afraid of anything you do. Believe that God gave you the strength to get through what you going through, and don't be afraid of stepping outside the box. Yeah. Keep the faith, because that's the stronger your faith is, the less fear you're gonna be. Because I tell people all the time, I fear God, I fear no man, you feel me? So, like, at the end of the day, when it come down to it, if I'm fearing anything, it's because I'm fearing it because God.
Now, I done heard people say that, and I don't know how much I believe that they say, okay, well, I fear God, but I don't fear man. I should say I really believe people when they say that, because if somebody came up in here with a gun right now, you wouldn't fear him.
No, I shouldn't say I don't fear man. I usually say, I fear God, I fear no evil.
Okay.
Cause yeah, you right. If somebody come in here with a gun, I sometimes in my head I'll be like, if this your sign to let me know that it's time to go, I don't want it to be, but hey, but nah, it's one of those things. Yeah, I'm gonna be afraid, but at the end of the day, I know, okay, if we keep prayed up at that moment, like we've been praying outside of that moment, God gonna tell that gunman, put the gun down. It's not in your spirit to do this.
He might,
and he might not.
and he might not. I don't know. That scripture, God does not give us a spirit of fear. Number one, yeah, I'm gonna just break that down really, because I like breaking down scriptures. You feel me?
Yeah.
And even though you may not have the complete answer, I still just like to try to break them down and just try to use them as food for thought and try to get like a deeper understanding. But God does not give us a spirit of fear. So that tells me, number one, that fear is a spirit.
Yeah.
And that alone right there is just deep.
Because if you think about it, it's not really your mind fearing it.
It's a spirit.
It's your body.
God does not give us a spirit of fear. So number one, it's a spirit. And number two, it says if God doesn't give it, it comes from somewhere else. Those are two things automatically off top that you get. God does not give us a spirit of fear. And then it says, but of power. So what it says to me is that power combats the spirit of fear. You feel me? And then it says power, love. So that means that love combats a spirit of fear.
Yeah.
And then the third thing, it says, and a sound mind, which tells me that a spirit of fear is a spirit, but at the same time, it has a lot to do with your mentality, your mental capacity, your mental aptitude. You feel me? God does not give us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. Power, love, and a sound mind is what can combat fear. Like for me personally, I have to really digest that and be able to deal with that. You know what I'm saying? And it's interesting because, I had my episode. I was actually, talking to, we're talking to, hundreds and thousands of people, on the radio show. And, but I recently had an episode where I had a health crisis, a health scare. So much to the point where I had 2 blood clots that was lodged in my heart valve between my lung and my heart that had came up from my leg, which instantly had stopped me from breathing to the point where I had to go to the emergency room. And then I had to have an immediate surgery to get that resolved. Otherwise, I'd have just been chilling with Jesus right now. Like for real.
It's crazy you say that. It's crazy.
No, it's real, bro.
Because we talked about near death experience,
and that was scary.
That was the topic of the meeting yesterday. Was near death experience.
Yeah.
Or seeing the other side.
And I ain't gonna tell you, I'm straight up now. I'm like, y'all, I ain't gonna lie. Y'all start everything off with I ain't gonna lie. It was scary. It was real scary. It was scary. It became fear came over me at that moment in which the doctor had read my results. Like I'm locked into him. We eye to eye, and naturally I'm watching his behavior. His nonverbal cues too, and I'm as he delivered me this information, and I'm looking at his level of concern. And he's like, hey, here's the situation. You got this. And when he told me what I had, it's like, okay, boom. It's like, bow, fear. Because when he mentioned surgery and heart, those two things together, I'm like, and so now I'm locked in like, okay, what's next? Where we going? So now I'm thinking about family. I'm thinking about purpose. I'm thinking, these things. And then I'm thinking about, well, there is a strong possibility that today could be the last day on earth. Today could be the last day, like whatever I've done or whatever I didn't get done or whatever. It could be in God's eyes and from God's perspective, my job here on earth could be finished. You feel me?
Even though you don't feel like it.
yeah. So when you start thinking in those terms, man, and it hits quick, it hits hard, and it hits quick.
Man.
You know even though I'm a Christian, and I'm as a born again believer, and I'm bona fide and certified, a faith talker, but more importantly, a faith walker.
Yeah.
Like for me, I'm a demon killer all day long. It ain't no question about it.
Yeah.
But even with all of that faith and all that anointing, I still had a level of fear and doubt that crept in when it was time to go through that process of, hey, are you going to come out this surgery?
Yeah.
Is this the last time you going to kiss your wife or give your mom? Like my mom grabbed my hand right before I, went left, and that hit me real hard. So, but I'm just saying, man, like, we got to get to a place where fear does not rule us. I think when you get to a place where fear does not truly rule your life, that is when you're totally free.
Yeah.
Because if you think about fear is what is a tool, an evil tool that people use to hold other people back or to get them to do what they want them to do or to intimidate them. Yeah. You feel me? Or to get them to either be crushed or fold or to their demise.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Any thoughts on that?
I know for me, for example, I had that experience, that fear experience with my dad.
Okay.
He was on a ventilator and everything. And it was, for me, it was more of like my fear of him being gone, because I knew for a fact, I'm like, hey, you not done here. You're not done on this side. It's not time for you to go. But then I had to think like, okay, if God say it's time to go, it's time to go. So I had to come back, and I had to come back too, because my grandma was also in fear. So I had to come back too, like, grandma, it's gonna be okay if it's, you feel me? If it's time for him to go, we gonna let him go. But in that time of us being there, you gotta pray. We gotta be prayed up, and that's the whole thing we did the whole time. Every time we was at the hospital, and so when we left the hospital and came back the next day, it was like, you here for DeAndre? We was like, yeah. So then the doctor was like, oh yeah, we're prepping him to go to Minneapolis. In my head, I'm like, okay, Minneapolis is where he always said he wanted to pass away at. So I'm like, nah, we not doing that. So then they like, oh no, he's going to Mayo Clinic to get the heart surgery and everything situated. So I'm like, okay, now my fear is actually down, because I know everything is good, because he going to the best of the best. He done been there before. They done saved his life before, previously. And then also with that surgery, like, it's one of those things, bro, dealing with the heart, it's not even just about having surgery, bro. It's about, that's a 50-50 chance. No matter who you is, whether you got a good heart or not, that's a 50-50 chance of you coming out. So that fear between you, your family, and like you said, like, it hit when Mother Dear touched his hand, and that's how I was. It hit me after I touched his hand and was like, all right, Pops, it's time for you to get on that chopper. I need you to make it to Minneapolis. Whatever you do in between, make it to Minneapolis. And so I feel like for my example, my fear set in at the same time.
Yeah.
Of him going into that room.
Yeah.
So stay prayed up. Let God work his ways. And don't let your fear overpower your mind.
We off air right now?
Yes, sir.
Yo, so I just wanted to send a shout out. Shout out to my wife. Shout out to mom. Shout out to all of you who was praying for your boy when he was down and was going through my ordeal. I'm almost fully recovered. I'm back on my feet. I'm moving around, and I'm moving differently. Just put it that way. But I'm more determined than ever, and I'm excited about what I'm going to refer to as the second half of my life. So all of you guys who were praying for me, those of you who sent, the well wishes, I certainly appreciate that. I'm on the road to recovery. I've done a couple of workouts. I ain't back quite where I was yet, but I'm definitely on my way, and I do feel a lot better than I felt prior to having my surgery. It's interesting. I want to say something to some of you guys out there, because I know a lot of you guys who have sleep apnea. I was one of those people who thought I had sleep apnea, and I had the whole breathing machine and all of that, man. But obviously my situation was a lot worse. And so I just want to say to some of y'all out there, like, listen, man, you may want to just get like fully checked out if you're struggling with sleep apnea, because now that I've had my surgery and went through my ordeal and they've removed the clots and this, that, and the other, like, I sleep well and I breathe well. I don't snore when I sleep. And sleep apnea is actually when you kind of stop breathing when you're sleeping. And so I don't have that issue now. So I don't even have sleep apnea. The situation with, the blood clots, of the thick blood, that was had a lot to do with me. So first of all, I wasn't sleeping at night. And then when I do sleep, it would be limited. And then it wouldn't be good sleep. And like I said, I would snore, and then I would stop breathing in my sleep. And so, I'm just saying that for those of you who have, or think you may have sleep apnea, go get that checked out, because it could very well possibly be something else. And then the other thing that I'll tell you is that, many of you guys have been watching me and noticed that I've been working out vigorously, and I lost a lot of weight. I lost 30 pounds, and I was grinding like that. So here's the deal real quickly before I go back on air. I had been working out for several months. I really started in the middle of October, like going hard and determined to lose the 30 pounds before the new year, in which I had done. But the reason I was on that kind of grind was because I had assumed that I was just out of shape. And being an athlete, that's the first thing that popped in our mind. So that's why I wanted to get in shape and lose the weight, because I'm like, hey, I'm having struggle breathing. I can't get around like I want to get around. I can't play basketball in a hoop full court like I want to, and all these things, this lifestyle that I'm used to. And so I started losing that weight, and I lost those 30 pounds. But the beauty in it is that, based on the situation that I faced, with the heart condition, as far as the blood clot conditions, the fact that I lost those pounds is what truly, really helped me on my quick recovery, and even for my situation not to be worse. And so I just want to point that out to you, because the whole time the issue was the blood clot. It wasn't that I was not in shape. I was in shape. And so, I just want to point that out to you too, man. Like, I'm thinking this breathing issue is because I'm just, fat, out of shape, whatever. But like Scripture says, God works in mysterious ways, and so, your boy's still here, man, and I'm doubling down on everything now. It's crazy, just doubling down on everything, and I'm excited about it. So, like I said, thank you for your prayers, and stay locked in. We got a lot of things that's going on, and I never wanted to. When you're down and you're facing death, or you're facing tough situations and crisis, man, you start to analyze the things that are important. But I never wanted to live life to just be successful. For me, I always wanted to live a life of significance, which is fundamentally different between success and significance. Success is accolades. Success is, people telling you, you did a good job and this, that, and the other, and it's about obtaining things and all of that kind of stuff. That's what, some level, of success is. But for me, significance is different. Significance is when you make, when you can leave a legacy. And significance is when you help people. And significance is when you help change somebody's life, or when you help put a person in a better position than where they were when they met you. That's what true significance is. Doing things that truly matter in life, that have real significance. And so for me, that's the life that I'm trying to live and that I want to live. And when it is my time to go, that's what I want to be known for, as a man who lived a life of significance. You feel me? But I ain't going nowhere yet, so I'm good now, and I'm excited about what's happening, what's to come, and so I'm just letting y'all know, man. We about to get it in. We got the new youth center. Hey, if you got a young man that's out there, send him to our clubhouse at 1018 North 5th Street, right in North Loop, downtown Minneapolis. We open today at 3 o'clock to 8 p.m. We got everything there for them. We got pool tables, ping pong tables. I'm ready, Mark, whenever you're ready to go back on the air. Just say when. We got all of that stuff. You feel me? We got cooking program, music program, weightlifting, one-on-one. We got tutoring and one-on-one mentorship, group mentorship, Xbox, PlayStation, all of that. Just good stuff for kids and young men. You feel me? I'm ready. It's the last segment. Yep. Cool.
Here we go. Rock and roll.
Yo, what up? It's your man, Cross, a.k.a. Mr. Dean, and you're listening to the Man Up Club Presents on Holy Culture Radio. Hey, listen, I'm sitting here in the studio, man, and I got my man, Rael, and my boy, Jamario, Man Up members, young men who are on the right path to success and trying to do things the right way. And we talking about fear and how it can impact your life, and how, fear can take over a person's life and kind of be the leading thing that kind of just, can paralyze you, what have you. There's some scriptures. One of them is Second Timothy chapter 1, verse 7, where it says that God does not give us a spirit of fear, but of power and love and of a sound mind. And we were just basically breaking down, what that scripture means. So I'm telling you right now, if you're living in fear and you're allowing fear to rule your life, you need to stop it.
Go to God.
No, for real, you need to stop it. Like you don't need to live in fear. I'll say we don't need to live in fear, because I'm a part of that. Like we need to live in faith. We need to believe. We need to live in belief. We need to live in power. Like the scripture says, we need to live in love, and then we need to live with a sound mind, and not believe that everything is going to just happen negatively. I know you've been around people, or I'll just ask the question: have you ever been around people and that you notice that no matter what you're talking about, or but the majority of things that they say or their responses are negative? Mm-hmm. If their responses are negative, a lot of times that comes from fear, or things that they have encountered growing up, that are unresolved issues or bad seeds that have been planted in their life, and that they cannot recover from, and that they cannot get over. And that bad seed that's been planted has grown, it has evolved, and it has taken a deep root in their lives, to the point where now the only is not even producing fruit, that is producing bad fruit, to the point that when they're whatever they talk about or whatever they say, it always has some kind of negative connotation to it, or some kind of negative spin on it. But there's another scripture, the 23rd Psalms, that most people know. And it says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadows of death, I will fear no evil. For
it's
thou art,
say that.
For thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff comfort me. That's a big statement. Go ahead. It seemed like you had something you was gonna chime in on.
No, it's funny you say that, because as most of y'all know, listeners, I am an ordained minister. So I just preached on that in my last sermon.
That's what's up.
So speaking of that it kind of gave me a flashback of like what I was talking about, and that's what I was kind of talking about. Like, living in fear is not where you want to be in life. because you're not free. You're not able to experience everything that God is putting out for you, because sometimes God put obstacles in your track for a reason. Like you said, he give his strongest battles to his strongest soldiers, or his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers. So when people are like, I don't understand what you mean by that. Okay, you got a testimony? Yeah. Okay, that was your test. That was your battle. And then, like, for instance, for you had heart surgery. That was a part of your battle. That's a testimony you could testify to people. And you could tell people, like, I didn't been through this part of fear, and I've came out of it because I know that I got a greater something up ahead. So when we talk about fear, is more of stop believing in what your heart is telling you.
Yeah. So a couple things. Like for me, like when you facing death or life-threatening situations, for me to be able to come through that, it allows me to move different. And I think that's just a big thing for me. Like I'm more strategic now. I'm more methodical, and I'm more mindful in regards to what I take on and what I don't take on. And I'm quicker to say no to some things that I normally probably would have said yes to. You find out, who your real friends are.
Who really there?
And you find out who really loves you, and you find out who really don't. These are like real eye openers.
Yeah.
You feel me? You find out who really supports you.
Yeah.
You find out who really doesn't. And for me, like, I just thank God that He brought me through. And believe it or not, just even thankful that He laid me down so that I could see some of these things a little more clearly and with a little more sharper focus. And so now, like for me, when I say I move different, it's just like, I don't have time to waste. I'm more conscious of my time and how I use my time. And I'm at a point where, like, I don't do excuses, because excuses just they don't matter. The excuses don't matter. It's like either you get it done, you do what you say you're gonna do, you find quality people. There's a scripture in the Bible that says the tree is known by the fruit that it bears. And it's like, hey, if you want to know how people are and what have you, you just look at their fruit. If they don't have no fruit, that's an answer. If they have a lot of fruit, that's an answer.
Yeah.
If their fruit is rotten and it's a lot of confusion and this, that, and the other around their fruit, that's an answer. You know what I'm saying? So, I try to move different, now, and I really do, thank God for that. And I know, what's important. I know who's important.
Yeah.
And just more focus, man.
Yeah.
Just more focus on that.
I always wonder, because I've never had a near death experience. I don't know about you, Rael. Mr. Dean, do you consider that a near death experience for you, or like?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know how you categorize it as anything else.
Well, because I know
somebody
I know
sticking a needle all up in your stomach, all the way through your chest and through your lungs, and your heart, and trying to pull your blood out.
Yeah, because some people would be like, oh no, that's not. That's a
all right.
It's a near death experience, but I know some people, they see the other side and then they come to.
I didn't see the other side.
Okay.
I ain't
What
see the
about
other
you,
side.
Rael?
I'll be truthful. Like, I've been really quiet because I'm having a hard time, like, understanding, like, or not even understanding, like, kind of believing the quote almost, because
What quote?
about how God doesn't give us a spirit of fear. Like, fear is not from God. But if I go into the wilderness right now and get stalked by a grizzly bear, I'm going to be terrified. And being courageous against a grizzly bear isn't going to make me alive through the situation. So, like, I don't know if I'm missing something, but I feel like I'm having like a bit of a disconnect between fear not being real or not being something that's useful.
What do you mean? So there. First of all, there's different types of fear.
Yeah.
The fear of the Lord is a good fear. Number one, because that's a reverence for God, to know that He's more powerful than you, and that things don't stop and end with you, and that you are not in total control of everything, and that there is a reliance on a higher power who moves and shakes in ways in which you cannot. For example, well, there's a lot of different examples, but it's interesting how people try to take credit for colors, the colors that we have, or so if you name the colors. People try to say, well, we came up with those colors, but wait a minute, you couldn't have came up with those colors because there is such thing called a rainbow.
Yeah.
And so who created those colors, for us to have? So it's like, and that's just like a small, minute example. But then there's another type of fear there's a fear that comes from an evil place, in which is meant to bring you down, is meant to destroy you, is meant to crush you. God does not give us that spirit of fear for those who believe in Him. But the key is to believe in Him, because believing in God, number one, is the coming to the end of yourself. Now, if you think that you're in total and complete control of everything, then that's automatically going to yield a different perspective. But if you yield to God, then He becomes the end all to everything, and He encompasses everything. And so when the scripture says, hey, God does not give us a spirit of fear, He says that because He's already conquered everything. He's already conquered death. He's already conquered evil. Now, prior to Him defeating Satan, the enemy used to use death as a way to cast fear in people, to the point that because nobody never knew what happened after you die, and so death was being used to rule everything. Mm-hmm. But since Christ died on the cross for the remissions of our sins, and He resurrected Himself, He conquered death, and in conquering death, He also conquered fear. Mm-hmm. So He's saying that He is not the author of fear, mm-hmm. and that but instead of Him being the author of fear, and Him giving us a spirit of fear, He's given us a spirit of power and of love and of a sound mind. So that means that if we keep Him at the forefront and of our focus, then what it does is it dissipates the fear that we would have. Mm-hmm. So you have to understand the different aspects of what fear is if that helps you in any capacity. But if it doesn't, keep talking and let's deal with it.
Okay, for example, like being afraid that a result doesn't go your way, like kind of using your words, paralyzes you from making the decision. Like, how would somebody deal with that?
As far as them being paralyzed, well, because most of the time when people are paralyzed from a particular situation, they're paralyzed from the standpoint of, most of the time, it's something that has happened previously in their lives. For example, some type of trauma or what have you. Like we make decisions based on a lot of our decisions, or a lot of things that have happened to us in the past, whether they're good or bad. But if they're bad, a lot of times they become traumatizing, and then we use that as the foundation under which we make our decisions or how we move. So when we become paralyzed by something, I had to go back and remember the first time that I was in fear. Well, I had to ask myself, I was like, well, why do I fear certain things? I had to go back and think about, well, when was the first time that you experienced fear? Like, how was that for you? And how devastating was that to you? So when we get to a point where fear can become paralyzing, 9 times out of 10 is going to be because of a pre-existing experience or circumstance that we went through that was traumatic.
Yeah, I've had my biggest fear moment that I've had is when I got stabbed, and that's a fear that I was like, oh no, this ain't what I signed up for, and it was the fear of like, nah, whoa, we not doing this. This not what I like. I'm bleeding. I don't like seeing.
You don't
blood.
like getting stabbed. You ain't signed up to get stabbed.
Nah, that ain't something. I don't think nobody signed up for it. But it's one of those things. Is like when it happened, you in fear because now you, like you said, you in sometimes you go in flight or flight mode. So you trying to run from it, but you really can't because you stabbed. You got blood. You got your blood. Like for me, my flesh was showing. My white meat was showing. Literally, I tell people like, bro, I got beat to the white meat, but I got stabbed to the white meat. You feel? But what I'm saying is, bro, you got to understand what level of fear, and what situations you are in, because fear is also a feeling, and what are feelings? Temporary.
Oh, I love that.
You feel me? Just understanding your situation.
Love that.